Hi, my name is Myra Tainsley, and I am recording this on March the 3rd, 2015. Um, my son is autistic. He has been, over the last 2 years and a couple months, he's been illegally confined to a state of Ohio ICF MR facility. And I say illegally because he never really should have been placed there, because he is not moderately retarded, and the criteria to involuntarily commit somebody to a ICF MR facility that's operated by the state of Ohio, it's a state facility, you have to be moderately retarded, and he's not. Today he will be discharged out into the community, and so he's going to a different level of government corruption with the Franklin County Board of Developmental Disability. The last time he was in an apartment through them, it was disaster. The apartment was not suitable, too small, too noisy, hostile neighborhood, hostile neighbors. Staff didn't know anything about autism. My son was constantly triggered. Because of my advocacy for my son, they don't want me to know where it is. They removed my guardianship, put one of their corrupt attorneys that go along to get along, that really don't care about the wards, because it's all about the money. You know, she'll be collecting his SSI, the system will be collecting his money and that sort of thing. But I'm a Christian woman, and I believe 1,000% that me and my son are being used by God. We're vessels, and because just because you being mistreated don't mean you deserve it. I mean, Jesus was treated like a criminal, even though he was God in the flesh without sin. And as far as God is concerned, my son is not in this thing because he deserves it. He's not trying to punish my son, but he'll use this, and he has made a way. He has kept us, sustain us, but he's made a way for me to be able to expose these people. They have all kind of restrictions. Me and my son can't have phone calls because of that. Now they have suspended our visits. Now, I've never neglected him or abused him. Nobody can prove it, you know, but they are trying to put a wedge. They have always, and it's racial components in this thing too, because you can take a similar family that have had a child with autism, that have had behaviors or crisis behavior, and they're not going to blame that mother or father. They don't try to tear the relationship apart and separate them and, you know, put a wedge and all that. But with me, I've been blamed for my son's behaviors, which are due to autism. They have tried to do everything. And, of course, it shows they don't have any knowledge of autism and stuff. But their favorite thing is he escalates when he sees his mother. No, he doesn't. He'll just vent and tell his mom how people have been treating him, which he has a right to do. And he usually is not going to be real calm about it. He'll show me that he's feeling pain. He'll say, "You see my pain?" But he has never. I say he vents to me. He doesn't vent because of me, idiots. My son ain't never, you know, asked me to leave or asked me not to come back. He loves mom and mom loves him. But this is the kind of evil, sick government scum that we have in our lives. So they removed my guardianship and went ahead and put this corrupt, unfit, lying she-devil attorney in that role as limited guardian. Go to the YouTube channel, look at the audio videos, view those that refer to her, and you'll see I prove that she's unfit, I prove that she's a liar, I prove that she's corrupt, that she was neglecting my son, wasn't following a federal order. I prove all of that, and that's in the YouTube channel. And I also have 2 pages on Facebook. One is Justice for Autistic Marquise Tanksley, just shows the key players that facilitated getting him involuntarily committed over to the state facility. So it shows all the dirty tricks, how they abuse their power, and deceptive motions, and from the courts on down, the attorneys, the agencies. Then I have another page called The Abuse and Neglect of Autistic Marquise Tanksley by the Government. And of course it really has a lot of the evidence of abuse and neglect and assault. There's pictures, there's documents, there's audio videos. Start from the beginning. It's been an ongoing process. And like I said, now he's going to be leaving today. And I know the Lord is with him. My son carries around 2 prayer cloths, but just because you're going through hard times doesn't mean that God wants that for you. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong, and it doesn't mean that God has left you either. This is his thing, and he's going to have it his way. But I pray for perfect peace for my son. And my son's been in situations that I know if Jesus wasn't there, he probably wouldn't even be around. He has protected him. He has felt suffering and pain, but there comes a time when God will end suffering and move that person to the next level and spike booties. He already put out one lie. The former guardian ad litem is no longer around. And when he was telling me, and you can hear that audio video in my YouTube channel or on my pages, and the arrogance, the lies, the thinking that he was unstoppable and all powerful, and he, like he was a phenomenon, and he bragged about running over people in court, and he don't care who it is and stuff, and that's a affront to God. It really is. It offends God. And it's bad enough when you abusing power, but to brag about it. So he died unexpectedly within a year of him telling me all of that. It was just totally disgraceful. I never heard such arrogance. So that's in the audio video too. Now this particular tape is when it corresponds to when I went to see my son back on January the 16th, 2013 to visit him. At that time I was visiting him around 11:30, around lunchtime. And when I got there, the program director, who's now the superintendent, because the superintendent calls himself resigning, and you know how they all move around in different positions in those government jobs, he told me that my son had eloped, ran across the street, and knocked out the windows in the house. He also had told me a lie. He didn't really know, but you could tell it's like, yeah, he just cut his finger, no big deal. But actually, when I did see my son, they wouldn't let me see him that same day, even though I wanted to support and comfort him. But when I did see him, it wasn't a cut on his finger, it was on his forearm. But this tape actually tells me what really happened, because Capaldi wasn't going to tell me everything. He wasn't going to admit the neglect of the staff, that nobody was with my son when this happened. This guy named Donnie Ross, who is the son of the house belonged to his mother, who was deceased, so that was her estate. And the Lord just sent me down there that day, and there he was, and he told me what really happened. That CDC told him, and he was trying to name the staff member, but he couldn't remember. But I think he probably, later on thinking about it, I said he probably was talking about Andy Chappelle, which is like he works like in the business office, or some type of director of business or something like that. And I think that's what he was, who he was trying to say told him this. But anyway, he said that CDC told him that and that's a state facility, Columbus Developmental Center. He said they told him that they wouldn't have known my son would have done that if he wouldn't have told them. And I said, oh, so staff wasn't with him, And he said, no, he got out. And they said, we wouldn't know if he had done it if he wouldn't have told us. And now that I think about it, because my son had to run out of a building that he was in there by himself. He was the only resident in this building. And there was nobody around, because if there had been somebody around, they probably would have tackled him and restrained him. But he ran out of this building, and he told me he was nude, because later on my son told me about it. So he ran out of this building nude, ran across the grass, the campus, ran across a busy street, and knocked out those windows. And if staff would have been with him, he wouldn't have got that far. He wouldn't have probably even got out of that building. But nobody was there when the fire alarm went off. Now that's pure neglect. That's failure to supervise. And because of God, my son didn't get hurt that day, because he could have got hit by a car, he could have got shot. People don't know. They see somebody knocking out windows, just think if it would have been a house that would have been occupied. Because like I said, this house actually was empty, and the man and his siblings were trying to sell it, because it was his mother's house, and his mother, had died. But just think if that had been an occupied house. Somebody could have pulled out a gun and shot my son. So it was a real big deal. And I did contact Channel 10, a local news station, and told one of those corrupt reporters about it. And he wanted me to send the pictures, but he didn't want to do anything with the story and stuff. He probably went, this woman sent us pictures and stuff. Because that's the way it was about, I went to him about a lawsuit, a draft and stuff. Tell everybody you're working with me, I'll get back. He never got back with me, but he sure took copies of the lawsuit and stuff. So, you got media that's in these government back pockets, and they won't report certain things and stuff, But anybody come in there, with evidence and a story, they'll take that and just report it back to the... Because I remember him saying, and what does Franklin County Board DD have to do with this and stuff? And the way he was looking and stuff. So, it's... And I got him on tape too, So, but back to this. This guy actually tells me what really happened. And I was just horrified to think that my son is being in a facility where he can run out and could have got himself killed. Really could have been, but Jesus protected him. But that was due to neglect. And Capaldi, when he told me about it, he never mentioned that. He lied and said that he was actually on his way over here to visit me, and then he finally said, yeah, it was a fire alarm, and then at that point I just didn't really want to hear anything else about it. I wanted to be with my son. And I requested, I said, let me go over there, and because I bought him Long John Silver's, because he loves Long John Silver's, and I always buy him food to eat. I said, let me go on over there and support him and comfort him. I said, because I know he was terrified and traumatized, because he was in that building all by himself, and the fire alarm went off, and it just triggered him. It freaked him out, and he bolted out of the building. And so I know that he probably was still, very terrified, very triggered, but he knew that I was going to be coming over with his LJS and stuff, but he, Capaldi wouldn't let me see him, And then he said, well, I'll pay you for the lunch. I said, no, you give this to my son. Because I bought him 2 of them. I bought him 2 plates of LJS. And I said, make sure the staff don't get to her, because they got thieves over there. They got abusers. I mean, if you can deny your co-workers or management, in their case, subordinates, if you can turn your head and deny them, assaulting and abusing and neglecting these residents, I said, and I told Kapati that, I said, I'm sure you got these. I mean, sure. I said, you people are capable of anything. When you people deny it and try to sweep it under the rug, when these residents are being abused and neglected, I think you're capable of stealing their clothes and stuff. I said, because I ain't seen most of the clothes I brought on over there brand new on him. I haven't seen it. But I have seen y'all put, y'all's used dirty, stained, too big or too small clothes in his wardrobe. I have seen that. I said, and he doesn't need all those clothes I bring over there to him that's brand new. I said, he doesn't need used clothes. I said, some of them other residents might, be solo and have no family members, got some corrupt appointed, court-appointed attorney. But I said, I bring my son clothes all the time. But they take his new clothes and then they go ahead and put their used clothes in his wardrobe. But anyway, that's what this tape is all about. And you'll hear this man tell me exactly, basically what CDC told him about the elopement. And like I said, I was just totally horrified to think what could have happened to my son that day, with him also being naked. And that's a busy street too. He could have got hit. Somebody could have stopped, pulled out a gun and shot him. And it was just, but it shows the sovereignty of God, that even while that was going on, Jesus was with Marquise. He protected him and somehow got him back over there to the so-called wonderful state facility where he told them what had happened. So, without further ado, and his voice is a lot lower on here than mine, since I'm the one that had the recorder on me. So listen carefully, and you'll hear this man say, no, he got out. And that, when he used to live there, in his mother's house, he would see staff at the state facility propping the door open, going out, smoking, and that sort of thing. And then, he was telling me that his sister used to work over there at the state facility, and she got tapped once by one of the residents or something. But when it came to my son, he actually told me, no, he had got out that day, and that the state facility, one of the guys in management said staff didn't even know. The staff didn't know because they wasn't even there. My son was in a building by himself. A fire alarm went off, and it just threw him, into overload. It traumatized him, terrorized him. He bolted out, and there was nobody around to stop him. There was no supervision, no staff, no anything. So, here you go, and thank you for listening.
Hi. Hi. My son is autistic, and he was the resident that they let get loose and run over here and do that. Did the state call you? Did CDC call you?
Yeah, they called the realtor, and he called me. I'm just trying to get things together. I got to fill out a stack of paperwork that high.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Did my son do that?
$25 to file a claim with the state.
Are you the owner?
This was my mother's house. It's in the state.
Oh, okay. Was that already broken?
No, it's too.
Okay. Well, he's autistic. He doesn't know what he's doing. and they don't know how to handle it.
At least he told them that he did it, you know.
They set him off with the fire alarm over there. My son is autistic, so but they're supposed to be able to keep him from eloping. He could have got killed going across the street.
One time when I was living at home here, probably 1974, something like that. I was pulling up out front here, and I think it's the state hospital back there then too, you know. But that's a running butt naked out in the street, run right in front of me.
Well, my son said he was naked too.
My break, and he jumped up and stood out to the middle of the street, sat there rocking him back and forth. And then
He sounded like he was autistic.
then I got up and went to try and talk to him, and he jumped up and he ran over on the neighbor's porch, started banging his head against the porch.
Yeah, he sounded like he's autistic. Yeah. Well, they don't know how to really. My son is over there, where they involuntary commit him over there, and he's been just treated like an animal over there.
Yeah.
So it's not what everybody thinks and stuff, you
I
know.
know, my sister-in-law was a nurse over there. The woman got, she was in the office, come in there, and the pastor, beat her in the head with a telephone, broke up the vertebrae in the back.
Well, then you blame staff
You know,
for that, because they're supposed to be able to work with them.
nurse, she's an RN.
Yeah, but there should have been, I'm RN too. But whenever that stuff, they have behaviors. So get people in there that's trained and know what they're doing. That's half of it right there. So they got people that ain't trained to deal with people like that. So
Wife was back there,
yeah,
before I knew her, but she was unnecessary.
yeah, because you know, he shouldn't have been.
Her dad was a custodian there.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been able to elope and you know, be able to do this, because he's supposed to be in a locked unit and stuff. So it just shows things, you know. But I was just driving by and I seen, you know, so my son told him.
Yeah. He told him that he did it.
Was staff with him?
Well, I'm just going by what Andy, the director over there, said, you know.
Andy.
Nicola or something, Capolo. I don't know. He's in the administrative building out there, I guess.
Oh, vodka party, or either Mike Snow or one of them.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Yeah, that's what they said. That he wouldn't have known about it if when he hadn't told him that he did it, you know.
Really?
Yeah, he pointed it out to him, you know.
I thought the staff was with him, so staff must not even been with him.
I thought he got out.
Oh my goodness. He got out and they didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And he just ran over. Oh my goodness.
This a unit over here.
Mhm.
Right, I see them like a police and their staff over there. They come out the door and stand out there and smoke and go back in and, you know, and the door just kind of, or they'll pop the door so they don't close all the way. Get back in, you know.
But you don't live here, do you?
No.
Oh, so this is your mother's house.
Yeah.
So did they call you immediately? And my father had Alzheimer's too, and he died.
He called me and gave me the guy's name and phone number. I said, I don't live too far from here. I just got my.
Okay, so there you have it. Just like what I said, this man, the house was his mother's estate, that he was notified by the realtor of the damage, that a CDC administrator, and actually he was trying to say Andy Chappella, because he was the over business over there. Some type, I can't really know, or I can't really remember his title, but another corrupt administrator over there, but it was over the business section or something. And you heard him say that he was told that by Andy Chappella or the CDC staff administrator that they wouldn't have known that Marquise had done this thing if Marquise hadn't told them. And you also heard Mr. Ross saying that they said that Marquise pointed out the house to him. So there you have it. No staff was around to prevent him from doing this. No staff was around to try to prepare him and to de-escalate him while this fire alarm was occurring. And my son eloped, terrorized, traumatized, in the nude from the state facility, went across the campus, went across Sullivan Avenue, and knocked out windows in this house. And the state facility didn't even know it had happened. They admitted that to this man, and the man told me, and the Lord made sure I found out about it. That's what really happened the day that my son eloped. He also had sustained an injury to his forearm, not his finger, like Capaldi had said. Look, and you can look in my YouTube channel, look for that audio video of Capaldi, what he told me, what happened that day. And then the Lord made sure that I got to talk to Mr. Ross later and found out what really happened. So, you know, my son's rights were just violated. You know, he's in a facility that has not only abused and neglected him and assaulted him, but they also have neglected him as far as his safety is concerned. So there you have it. Please visit both of my Facebook pages. I like to put this in all of my audio videos. Even though my son is leaving the state facility today, he's still in the throes and being held captive by the corrupt government. And this time it's the county level. And so the page continues. It's called The Abuse and Neglect of Autistic Marquise Tanksley by the Government. Then there's a justice page too. So you will find those on Facebook. And open to the public, of course. And then you have the YouTube channel. Please view my YouTube channel. Plenty of audio videos there that's supporting what I say about the corruption, the slander, the incompetence. The incompetence is about as bad as the corruption. It really, really is. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.